I got 3 tasks. The one is to not make Joni play behind me. Uh, the second is I heard that the camera people say I move a lot, Dana. So I'm gonna try to sit tight. And the third is not be like Pastor James, not cry today. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, so we are in Advent season. Yeah, that's what I said too. Like, I didn't even really know what Advent was until I got to Cornerstone. So I was just as silent as you when I heard that I was now in the Advent series.
Excuse me again.
None whatsoever. Y'all can put up lights now, cause if she can go across, y'all can go ahead and keep having gratitude. It's not gonna distract me at all. Right. Good and bad news. Like I said, this Advent sermon series has kind of wrecked my brain. So if you are really looking for a good understanding of Advent, come next Sunday. Kevin is going to be giving us a good understanding of Advent, crash course in the Greek and Hebrew. So do not expect any of that on today. All I got is my thoughts. And sometimes they go on a wild ride. So this is my thoughts, my understanding, so you do not have to adapt them at all. And it's probably best that you do not. But we're going to go on a journey. So since I did not really know much on Advent, I didn't grow up on Advent, I asked Google, help me, because Pastor Tracy would not. So I said, Google, tell me what I'm supposed to be talking about. And some of the things that Google told me of how to celebrate Christ during the holidays was this. First thing it told me is attend church. And I was like, check, I do that all the time. So there's nothing for me unless you just don't regularly attend, then that's something you can put on your list to do. But I'm here all the time, so that does not apply to me. Read Bible stories about the birth of Christ. Check. Yeah, I can do that. Sing hymns. I guess, like, since it's December, we should be singing, like, songs like today of, all the Christmas songs. So check, we did that this morning, so we are good on that. Participate in Advent traditions. What I've seen lately is the 25 days of gifts. Like, somebody told me that Advent was like the 25 moments of pause and stuff, but I really seen like 25 days of Legos, 25 days of perfume and candy. So if that's your thing, I think that's acceptable too. So if however you want to do your 25 days, I think that's acceptable. So I have been giving myself 25 days of gifts, so check on that too. Decorate my home with religious symbols. I guess that means the nativity scene, because that's the only thing I really see. And the words love, joy, peace, and hope. Does that cover all the holy symbols for the season? I think we got gratitude, so we have checked that box too. I know Kevin has a nativity scene. He talked about it on one of his Advent sermons, so we have covered religious things as well, decorations. And it said incorporate acts of giving and service. So Char, oh, by the way, if you owe Char those angel tree gifts, they were due today, so I hope y'all brought them. So that is an act that you can do for incorporating acts of gifts, and usually if you go to the grocery store around this season, you will see the Salvation Army ringing a bell. You can do things like that, or you can just give to a nonprofit like us, and that is a good way to incorporate acts of giving and service. So check on that too. So after I read that, I was like, I exceeded all my expectations. So I am doing good on Advent. How did you guys score? Everybody, I'm like, what is the difference? If we do this all the time, then what is so special about doing it in December? So then I went back to, okay, something ain't right because I do this all the time. So it has to be something that I'm missing. So that's why I kept spinning around in circles. So I'm like, what is Christmas all about? What is Advent all about? Because I felt like I was missing something. Because if I do this all the time, what am I missing in December? Then I started going down this religious hole of oh, maybe I've heard Jesus is the reason for the season, and I'm like, maybe that's what I'm missing. I gotta make Jesus the reason for the season. Has anybody figured out how to do that? How do you make Jesus, how do you show somebody that I am actively making Jesus the reason for the season without feeling like I'm just doing worldly things, as people would say? What does that look like? Help me, help you figure out what does that look like. See, this is discovery. Dana asked me what was my topic, and I said, I don't know. Let's discover Advent because I have no answers for you. So discover that for yourself, because I'm not going to give you any answers. I told you it's that type of sermon. So, bless you. I feel like we have made Christmas overrated yet underrated sometimes. I guess a little overrated if we want to say, like we said, there's only the nativity scene. There's not so much religious things that we do. So I go to the mall and I see Santa Claus, and I thought maybe, just maybe, we can get a nativity scene in the middle of the mall, and we can have pictures with baby Jesus, and we can send them out as greeting cards. That will give us an idea of Jesus is the reason for the season. Instead of Santa Claus, Cornerstone is going to have a nativity scene set up in the middle of the mall, and everybody can come take pictures, and we will be holy for the season. Check. But is it that serious? Do we have to go down the religious mindset of, am I going to church? Am I giving? Is this the only time that we can give during Christmas? Why can't it be something we do all the time? Is this the only time that we can meet up with family? Yes. For some of us, yes. Is this the only time we want to gather with coworkers? Yes. Definitely at my job, yes. We would never gather. So if this is the time where you can gather and have parties, I really enjoy this season because I get a couple days off. And even if they don't give them, I take them. So it's rest. The children get school off. So whatever you find in this season that makes you feel connected to God, it's okay. It doesn't have to be, you can't put up your Christmas tree. You can't, and actually when I thought of the Christmas tree, Terry, I was like, everybody gets to love trees. Terry is going to be so excited about this. Everybody is going to have a tree and talk about their tree because Terry loves trees. That will make Terry happy if everybody texts her a picture of their Christmas tree. See? Connecting. That's what God wants from you. My thoughts. Yeah, and then I started thinking about everything just started bothering me. Like I would hear Christmas songs, and I usually love this season so I can hear Christmas songs. And I literally stopped listening to Christmas songs because it was like joy to the world, Merry Christmas, and some stuff just wasn't making sense to me. Like even when I think of the nativity scene, I'm like, oh, look at this. And I think of peace and like the baby that doesn't cry. And I'm like, really? Really? Jesus didn't cry. Or we paint this picture, and we tend to do this in our own life of, especially Christmas time, of painting this picture like everything is good, but life don't stop because of the holidays. Them bills still billing. Them people at your work still working. Family is still family. The government is still government. Like, it don't stop because it's the holidays, but everybody is saying, and another thing, I'm from the South. Up north, I ain't never seen no northern people so happy. They actually speak and say, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. And I'm like, y'all don't speak no other time. But it's something about this season that make the North people approachable. I love to see it. I love to see it. So if that's what it takes, thank you, God, because he has a way of making ways out of no way. So I love to see it. So if that's what it takes, then say Merry Christmas to somebody. Say Happy Holidays. But sometimes also keep that somebody ain't, like Brittany told me this morning, good morning. And I say, it ain't no good morning for me. Like sometimes we can be real and say, it's not a good season for me. You may be happy, you may enjoy, look forward to going home to your family, but for some people, they may not have their family. They may not get along with their family. So while one side is happy, some other people are still sad and broken. So how do we hold the both in this season? How do we still pause and see people in this season, that it's not so much as pushing our joy and happiness? I ain't got no problem with the people that want to be happy, but for me, it's like going to a funeral and somebody telling me, oh, they in a better place. I don't want to hear that. So sometimes it's just, now this is just me. Sometimes it's just, I don't want to hear that. So take it however you see it, but understand that for some people, it's not that. So meet them where they are. If when you say Merry Christmas and they looking like it ain't merry, don't just say, well, I don't know why you ain't happy. Embrace that's where they are. Then I thought, it's like we sung Happy Birthday. I said, it's Jesus' birthday. We got to do something for Jesus. We do something for your birthday. What can we do for Jesus? And I thought about it, and I said, you know what? Sometimes we come to the birthday party, church, and it's like, imagine going to somebody's birthday party and you want them to give you something. Now, I expect cake and ice cream now at a party. But it's like we come in and we're like, give me, feed me, sing for me, do this for me. And what are we bringing to the party? And some of us go to parties, like sometimes I go to my nephew's party and I'm really not there for them. I'm there to see other people because other people want to see me. So if we coming to see Jesus at his party and it's really not about him, we really here to have social hour for everybody else and forget about the birthday boy. So don't just come into the season with my hands open of what can somebody give me, what can God give me, but what are we bringing to others? What are we bringing to God in this season? And gifts is okay. I don't really like to receive gifts, but if you give me one, I'm not going to be opposed to it. So if gifts is your thing, then do it. If it makes you happy to see other people happy, then do it. It's not a right or wrong way to celebrate this season. Another thing they told me when they was talking about the read the Christmas story, I kind of got a little discouraged because when I read Matthew and Luke on the Christmas story, well, the birth of Jesus, I was like, you can't read one without the other. I don't know if they were friends, why they just couldn't get together and make me one story so I can, because some of the people in the nativity scene in one chapter and some of the people in the other. So if you read one without the other, you're kind of confused on how the wise men got there. So if you're going to read them, you got to read them both. And at first, I'm like, we usually do it as traditions. We read it with hot chocolate around with the family, and it's like we just zoom past it, that we're like, oh, that's a great story. And then I start reading it, and I'm like, whoa, like, what are you trying to tell me? Now, this is just my thoughts. When I thought of Mary, I was like, wow, how can I get to a point like Mary? Because she got some type of faith. Like, if you don't know the story, the angel comes to her, and he's like, hey, the Lord has found favor in you. I would have been like, yes. Who don't want to find favor with God? I was like, yes, I can agree. Good job, Mary. Next. Then he's like, you're going to have a baby. And Mary is like thinking about being a virgin. And my mind went like, I would have been like, okay, I'm already engaged. Like, that can happen. So I would have been thinking like future. I wouldn't have been thinking like he meant like time now. So Mary's like, how can this happen? And he like tells her how it's going to happen. And Mary's response was just like, okay, let it be your will. God's still working on me, because if he told me right now, hey, he gonna give me a baby, I would be like, hey, the way my work schedule is set up and I have to drive back and forth to Staten Island, I can't be having no baby at 7 o'clock when I get in and going to bed at night. Like, how is it gonna work? So I would have a million questions, and I'm trying to get like Mary, but low-key I don't want to be like Mary, because she didn't ask no questions. I think it's okay to ask questions. You know, if y'all, who has arrived to the no questions? When Jesus gives you something, you just like, yes. Okay, so y'all with me. So I don't feel bad. I was concerned about that because I thought you guys had arrived and I have not. So, I was concerned because, you know, when you get around church people, they are perfect. And I want you to know that in this season, you don't have to be perfect. So I think God would still accept me with my questions. Then I saw, and then Mary, it was like an arranged marriage. And I'm like, can you imagine that? Can you imagine somebody telling me, Saundra, that? I can see my family now, like, here's the young man we have for you. I would not be a good Mary. Like, it would be problems from the beginning. I would be like, nope, not going to happen. This is where we draw the line on tradition. So, yeah, it would have been a lot of problems. Yeah, so, but in that, don't be like me, that you have so many questions and stuff that God just moved to the next person, because I would have been a complainer that I wouldn't fault God if he just moved to the next person, because I would have had questions. And, you know, so to me, being in a arranged marriage, then you giving me a baby, and I had plans to, like, try to like this man first before you bring a baby into the situation. Like, it's a lot that would have been going on in my mind. Then they want us to walk or ride a donkey. We don't know which one they did. So, like, it's like me trying to go back to Alabama walking or on a donkey because the government wants to do a census. I would be like, no, like, you go. I'm going to be here. So, like, it would have been, like, a bunch of rebellion. So, like I said, this is my story. This is how I process when I read the Bible. So, don't read the Bible with me. But I'm like, Mary, I give it to her. So when you read the scripture, you don't see all that behind the scene. You just see Mary like, yes, and you're like, oh my God, like, yes, great. And I'm like, no, I'm real. When it happened for me. Then Joseph, they give his story, and he was real. He was like, yeah, no, I'm gonna divorce her quietly, not for me. And then, like, the angel have to come and be like, no, like, for real, like, she's not lying. Take her as your wife. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, okay, you ain't got no more questions? So, like, to me, like, imagine a road trip with somebody that you really don't know, and now you got a baby that you say God gave you, and I'm trying to believe it, but you The Bible wants me to believe that it never came across his mind. Like, I would just be watching you on a donkey and like, did I really hear that? Or was your brother walking in a robe and pretending to be God that I heard it? But I don't know. And then me being a step parent, like, I don't know how he could have, like, raised baby Jesus. I'm like, how you raise your God? Like, what can you tell him? Like, and if Jesus, like, you notice that in the birth of Jesus, it just skipped to, like, now he's like a preteen or younger. Like, we don't see that in between stage. So we don't know what Jesus was doing, but he was human, so I assume he was doing what children do. But, like, how you be like, okay, you get a whipping or you get on punishment, and you be like, oh, shoot, like, your real daddy is God. Like, can I really give you a whipping, or is he gonna punish me for whipping you because you out of line? Like, how does that work? So I would be over processing everything that I would just probably let him do what he want to do, because I'd be like, because I don't want nothing to happen to me. So if that's what you want him to do, you see him. But I wouldn't do nothing because I would want to be right with my Lord. So that would be a struggle for me, because I would be silently suffering, because I'm like, I have no control of this child. This child is really my God. So how does this work? So should I be teaching him, or he should be teaching me? Like, but right now he's saying Goo Goo Gaga. So it's something in the Goo Goo Gaga that I should be comprehending, because I'm really, like, it would just be confusing for me. So that's why you don't read about it with me. So that's the rabbit hole that I went down. So it was not. So reading the the birth of Jesus, it just wasn't, it was giving reality to me, where any other time I would have just read it and been like, oh, I read it, check mark, because that's part of the Advent that they said. So it would have been like check mark, but this story was making me really think, and I was like, And Mary, when she had the baby, once she didn't have her family there, I'm like, who does that? And I'm with this man that I don't really know, so he probably didn't know how to help her deliver this baby. She ain't got no epidural. And we were out here smelling these animals. Like, I don't like going to the field, and I'm in the Army, so I know I would not have liked that situation of being there with them animals. But the baby Jesus was silent. That's what the hymn say, ain't it? He was all this calm, all this bright. He don't cry. Little Lord Jesus, no crying he makes. So at least the baby wasn't crying. But I would probably still be mad. So when they took the picture for the nativity scene, instead of the picture that y'all see, I would be like this. What is really happening? And why y'all bringing him gifts? Where's my push present? Like, I pushed. Where's the push present for me? I'm the one who said yes. And then, like, y'all don't understand, like, to even accept yes, she could have got stoned. So it's like, I don't know if Mary just really thought about her yes. And then when she said yes, she was like, oh, shoot, like, I am engaged. So, like, if I go, like, can you imagine going to your parents, something, yeah, Jesus, the Lord has given me a baby. And you like, man, these people done paid for you. Like, and now you spoil? Like, and I got to explain to their family that somehow God has impregnated you, which has never been done. Imagine the chaos in her family that we don't read about. Like, that's the part that I be wanting to know, because it's like so many missing parts that I need to know, like, what happened, because if I'm going to believe this word, like, I need to know that it's not just a great story. I need to know that the problems that I deal with was the same problems that they deal with, but we speed past it and just sum it up. And we present this picture like, just say yes and everything is going to be all right. But no, when things aren't right and things aren't going as planned, we don't want to talk about that. So it helps me to give you guys the real on how I imagine it to be. It ain't probably not all true, but there was some chaos, there was some confusion, there was some scandal, and I'm pretty sure Joseph's parents went like, yes, we love Mary. Like, who cares? It's got to be God's son. Like, yeah, no, like, no. So it's okay to be real in this season. It's okay to not be happy, or if you got chaos, it's okay. You don't have to pretend. You don't have to come in with your family like the nativity scene and everybody's, we are good. What Dana say? Everything's fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. It's okay to not be fine. So in this busyness of the season, If everything is not fine, don't get caught up in the holidays or people just pushing cheer. If you feeling sadness, it's okay. If you're feeling everything else, it's okay. The world doesn't stop because of this season. And what I loved is just, even this week, Joni sends me this. And if I could sum up what I felt God wanted us to hear today, it would be this spoken word. Because John, he doesn't give us a birth of Jesus like Matthew and Luke. He just says, in the beginning was the Word. That was his idea of the birth of Jesus. That he was in the beginning, and regardless of what goes on in the middle, he is the final. Amen. And I love when she said that you aren't just there in the future or past, abandoning us in this vastness of the in-between. While we wait for the Lord to come back, it's this in-between of like, what are we doing? Have you abandoned us? It's the Emmanuel God with us. That constantly today I heard God with us. So if you got nothing else, understand that whatever you are in this vastness, God is with you. That's why he loved us so much that he became all this. He became human. And I was thinking, a lot of times people don't understand what it feels like to be in your shoes until they in your shoes. It's okay for me to say, I don't know how you do this, or, I don't know why she having a struggle being a single parent. I do it. Yeah, but you may have a support system, or you may have whatever. Like, we don't put ourselves in each other's shoes. And what I love about God is, maybe he was sitting around like, why do they not get it? And he's like, you know what? I can't just say, I don't know why they're doing it. He loved us so much that he became us to fully understand what it feels like to be us. That he was betrayed, he was talked about, he had chaos, he had a chaotic family. He didn't grow. God could have just dropped him down in a royal family, or just dropped him down in a pillar of a cloud or something and made it a royal entrance. But he brought him down like us, where we can relate. And he's like, everything that you can possibly go through and deal with, he's like, I became you so that I can fully understand you and not just say, yeah, you should be able to do this. He's like, no, I've been there. I've even asked God myself, like, why have you forsaken me? So he understands when life is life and we're like, where are you? He's not just a God sitting high looking down on us like, it's easy, do it. What are you crying about? What are you doing? He's like, I'm right there with you in this pain. And I'm not just sitting far off saying, I don't know why it's so hard for you to just get out of bed today. He understands and he's with you. The name is peace. This, what I did learn from Advent now, I did do this part. This is supposed to be a week of peace. So if you are actually following along with the Advent, don't say I did not tell you this was the week of peace. And the Lord came to be the Prince of Peace. So if you got chaos in this season, if everything around you is just a whirlwind, in this moment, in this week, remember the God that holds peace. Sometimes people say, I don't even know how you look or act the way you do, knowing what you've been through. That's that peace that surpasses all understanding. That sometimes I don't even know how I'm still rolling, but that's that, not this, oh yeah, everything's calm. No, that's that, I guess what we see in the nativity scene where everything's supposed to be calm and we like, but it's not. That either way, God is still there to bring us peace, even when things aren't going the way we think it needs to be. And the God who sees me. Joe walked up to me today and he's like, what's going on with you? And I'm like, I'm good. And he's like, how's your gut? And I've been battling a diverticulitis flare-up. but you would never know it. And I said, thank you for seeing me. Because we have a God, and I said I wasn't going to cry, dog. I messed that one up. We have a God that sees us. Even when it's something small like that, that you don't just walk about in a room and feel like, God, nobody sees me. That even in that, that's what this Advent season is for me, is when you see somebody, be a replica of what God has been to you, to somebody else. See somebody. Be with somebody. If you can give to somebody. If you can help somebody. If you can be light to somebody. Be all the things that God is to you, to somebody else in this season. That's the best gift that we can be, is to be a willing vessel to say, what do you want from me in this season? And if it's to show up at the party, you never know who you can talk to at the party. If it's to hang up some lights, you don't know who's driving by. And that light is the street light that's actually keeping them from running off the road. While you think it's just, I'm putting up Christmas light. When you put out your nativity set in the driveway, you don't know who's driving by to say, somebody else loved my God like me. So whatever you do in this season, it don't have to be so holy. Meet God however you meet him. Like the wise man, God used a medium that was for them. If worship is your thing, if singing is your thing, whatever it is, if just this season of being happy and joy is your thing, that this is the only time of the year that you in a good mood, let that be your thing this season, that say, hey, January, don't talk to me. But this month, you're going to get the best joy out of me that you can get. So be that in this season.